Hello, I'm Cindy Bartosek. I'm the curator for the exhibition Beyond Words, Celebrating Books as Art. As a bookmaker myself, I was really pleased to have the opportunity to put together a call to artists for fellow bookmakers or artists working in other mediums who choose to display their work in the book format. What we were looking for was work that showed imagination, showed creativity, but also really reflected a very high degree of proficiency in the construction and design of the book that really allowed the piece to convey whatever concepts that the artist had in mind.
Hi, my name is Robin Perry Dana, and I'm the gallery director and curator at Articles Fine Art Services and the Leslie Curran Gallery here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm the judge for the exhibition at Florida CraftArt, Beyond Words, Celebrating Books as Art, and I'm here to show you the award winners. This beautiful exhibition, curated by Cindy Bartosek, is a wonderful delight of the book arts field. She's pulled in works large and small, playful and serious, and I'm so excited to show you some of the pieces that I found really special. I awarded honorable mention to this wonderful piece by Naverne Covington. The simple book form called the accordion is what she's employed here, and yet she's taken it to a whole other level. We're drawn in to the opening here in this space of this book through the gestures and mark making that she's created in the front, and pulled in to read this beautiful text that melds perfectly with the style of her mark making in this handwritten piece. It's beautiful. It feels like entering a sacred space. There's a quietness to this piece, a sense of a natural space. The color palette is deep and warm and welcoming. You can sense a feeling of emotion in the work, somewhat celebratory or loving, and somewhat sadness, which is often an element of her work that I love so much. I awarded honorable mention to this wonderful book by Christine Di. It's a great example of the concertina flag style bookbinding, and it has this wonderful crisscross element to the paper. She's also included all kinds of wonderful details in this piece. The edges of the paper are burned, so you get a wonderful patina to the paper and an emphasis on the energy that's happening in that folding, that intricate folding that she's achieved here. The book is called All the Things You Said, but it doesn't contain any text, and so it leaves the audience to interpret what that means. Where it leads you is imagining the complexity of this bookbinding technique as a symbol of the complexity of relationships. I awarded honorable mention to this wonderful sculpture by Jack King. What you'll discover as you get closer to the work is that the book forms here on the table are actually sculpted out of wood. The detail in them is just exquisite. But then you step back and you think about what Jack is trying to talk about in this work, and there are all sorts of interpretations for this sculpture, but my personal interpretation is that the books are exploding with ideas coming out of this shape, and the oars suggest a sense of adventure, of travel, of an epic adventure, and all the wonderful things that you get when you open a book and start to read it. The places that you go, the experiences that you have, the journey. And that's what I really love about this piece, is that it allows you to enter it and begin to imagine all sorts of other fantastic worlds. I awarded honorable mention to this wonderful book by Polly Perkins called Alphabet Birds. I'd like to show you some of the pages. At first glance, it looks like a children's book, with the first letter of each page being a different bird. But upon further consideration, you realize the sophistication of the imaging technique. The compositions are beautiful. The woodblock printing is exquisite. There's so much texture and detail in each page. So beautiful. I love when art becomes accessible to both children and adults. It's so important to be able to introduce artwork to young people. There's a playfulness to Polly's work that's always recognizable. And this is a wonderful example of her creativity and her joyful mark making. Alphabet Birds. I awarded honorable mention to this wonderful piece called Band by Shelley Steck-Reale. And what I love about this piece is it breaks all the rules about what we define as book, but it's so perfect for this exhibition. When I first came in the door, I mentioned to the curator how wonderful it was to see this piece sort of center stage, overlooking the rest of the exhibition. It's a wonderful piece that reminds us of the importance of books, and it's beautifully and exquisitely presented. I awarded third place to Harry Bauer for his wonderful piece, Buddha's Phone Book. And what's great about this is it's such a celebration of the craftsmanship of bookbinding. This piano hinge binding is intricate, and it shows off the geometry of the form. This is a painstaking process to create this type of bookbinding, and he's used the wonderful contrast of red, black, and white to emphasize that technique, that bookbinding technique, and created what's a wonderful sculptural form in the end. So he's used bamboo skewers and stained them red, and transformed this file folder form into a sculptural piece. So it has a wonderful three-dimensional quality, very playful and very exquisite. I've awarded second place to Rosemarie Prin's powerful piece called Each Moon Passes. And what's exciting about this large-scale 6-foot piece is that it takes on a sculptural quality. What's wonderful about some of the elements here are the beautiful deckled edge that she's celebrated in the handmade paper, the combination of beautiful imagery and poetry, which is such a great tradition in bookmaking. The piano hinge binding is enhanced by these wonderful organic bamboo forms, and it's just a wonderful, beautiful, subtle piece that gives a sense of the natural celebration of beauty and a celebration of poetry. I awarded first place to Rima Day for this beautiful book with embroidered silk and organza. It's a beautiful reference to blood vessels and growth and change. And what's wonderful about it, here I'll put on my gloves and show you a little bit of the detail. The fact that she used organza for the pages means that there's a certain translucence to this piece that allows you to experience the layers of imagery. And so you can go through the book and you see all the different layers of embroidery that she's created here in this wonderful structure. The striking contrast of the red and white is beautiful, and it shows off the exquisite detail of that delicate thread. And I love how the thread continues and flows out of the book in a very organic way. I awarded Best of Show to this wonderful piece by Robert Bartusik, and I'd like to show you a few of the detailed pages. We start with this wonderful leather-bound cover, very elegant and simple, and here I'll unwrap it so you can see inside. The simple, clean post binding is a perfect way to gather this collection of exquisite pieces of artwork all into one collection. I'd like to show you some of the pages inside, each one a treasure. Each page is a powerful composition filled with collage of stunning drawings and prints, all with his signature mark making, striking black and white tones. There's a variety of media that he's used here. Many of the pages look like ink drawings or woodblock prints. You can see from the composition and the color palette that there's a powerful message here. He chooses not to use text in this book, so we're able to have an open interpretation of what the drawings are about, but we know that they're powerfully emotive. This deep, dark color palette sets the tone for the piece. When disassembled, you could see these drawings, each on its own merit, assembled on a wall, would be tremendously beautiful, but here we get it in this beautiful book form. It's a treasure. Oftentimes when I look at artist books, I think about the amount of time that's invested in what turns out to be something very small and precious. And I wonder sometimes about what an artist is thinking, what compels them to make such a book. Because it really takes time to go through and look at the piece. And you're dependent on your audience. As an artist, you're dependent on your audience to take that time and look carefully and see the details. This is my favorite spread in the book. I love those intense reds and blacks and the gesture and mark making. So powerful. This piece also defines time in a way. There's so many Cubist references in the drawings, but it feels very contemporary at the same time. I'll leave you with that page. That is a beautiful spread.
We appreciate Robin Perry Dana of Articles Gallery in St. Petersburg for judging the Florida Craft Art exhibit Beyond Words, and for her taking the time to do such great commentary on each of the works. Hope you enjoy it and come and see it through July 30th, 2022.